Hi, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC.
And I'm Linux. Oh, what did I drop?
Welcome to UberTechs. It is January 25th, 2010. I'm Techie Kris. This is my co-host, The Demon.
How's it going?
And our special guest, buddylee.
Hey.
Today we're talking about Mac versus PC, the epic battle. And the first thing we're going to bring to you is performance/hardware. Specifically, how well does a Mac or a PC perform, and what kind of hardware can you get? Now, the Demon has some special perspective on the hardware that you can get in a Mac versus a PC.
Our comparison models are going to be the HP DV8 for $999. It's an i7 processor with 4 gigs of RAM, and the MacBook Pro, their base model is $999 with an Intel Core Duo 2.66 with 2 gigs of RAM. So those are our price comparison models.
Basically, what can you get on a PC versus what you can get on a Mac? What is your price difference? For instance, how much more or less you going to pay on a PC on a Mac versus a Mac when you buy the same hardware?
If you're going to go for the same hardware, it's probably going to be about $400 or $500 difference on just the baseline Mac, the MacBooks, and for the desktops, you're probably looking at about $1,000 difference.
Any different perspective, buddylee, on that kind of on those numbers?
No, I've dealt mostly with the Mac Pros, the professional workstations, and for the price of a good Mac Pro, especially the dual quad-core, you could buy 4 PCs that would perform nearly as well for the same price.
All right. And as far as performance, which I know is very arbitrary because every user sees performance as a different thing, but we'll just go around the table here. Performance on a Mac versus a PC, to me, in my experience, which is not very, very good, admittedly, because I haven't used a Mac in years, a Mac can perform when you're doing your basic functions like Internet Explorer, Office stuff, anything really basic that you're not really taxing the CPU. They can both perform very well. The program's going to open decently, is the same speed. You're not going to perceive a difference in the speed between a Mac versus a PC. You're going to browse the internet. You're going to use your Word program or your PowerPoint about the same. Do either of you have a perspective on that differs?
Well, lately, with the new version of Mac OS X with 10.6, a lot of the native 64-bit support, after you've updated your apps, that was the big change, was the 32-bit apps don't run as well on the 64-bit kernel that they used to do on the 32-bit. So after you've upgraded everything to 64-bit, you do get a bit of a performance gain. As to whether or not it's that much of a gain that matters over a PC, you're talking seconds.
So let's talk about high-end performance. Let's talk about Adobe programs like Premiere, specifically when you're rendering a video. Let's talk about game performance, even though anyone, even Mac users, would probably admit that there isn't much of a game market on the Mac. Let's talk about high-end things in general. Does anyone have a perspective on a high-end program that will definitely perform better on one platform versus another?
With rendering using Adobe CS4 on both the Mac versus the PC, there is a difference, not so much in the rendering, but for my comparison, I use a dual quad-core i7 with 16 gig of RAM. That's my Mac Pro. My laptop is a quad-core with 6 gig of RAM, and the major difference is not so much the user interface, but there's a lot more shortcuts that are easier that allow you to move around not just between applications, but in the applications a little bit faster. That's more of an Adobe thing, especially if you're doing photo editing with Adobe Lightroom. That's where I've noticed it the most. You can fly through things in Lightroom because the keyboard shortcuts are much simpler on the Mac version. On the PC version, some of the keyboard shortcuts are not even there. So when it comes down to actually processing the information, doing batch groups of photos or rendering, times are pretty much the same It's the user interface and the experience of being able to quickly manipulate things and get to the point to where you sit back and let the machine do its thing.
Okay.
So we're going to call that ease of usability.
That's a +1 for the Mac. And let me remind our viewers that we are not scoring this on a particular numbers-based scale. A lot of reviews that you'll see will score this. They'll average them out at the end, and they'll give you a scientific layout. We're just going to go off the cuff here because we are that awesome. Next is applications, and this basically means on a Mac versus PC, what can you do and what can't you do as far as programs are concerned.
That line has become greatly blurred with the introduction of the Intel-based Macs. The most common app that I use, Handbrake, runs both on the PC, runs on the Mac. Video encoding takes the same amount of time. There's no real difference. Occasionally, you'll find small little niche products such as Connect 360 that I use to actually share video to my Xbox 360. It works great. It works better than anything I found on the PC. It fits specifically that one thing. The cost for the hardware just to be able to do that one thing is just not worth it.
So now we just have appearance. My thing is, if you're gay and you have fuchsia curtains and you need to match your fuchsia curtains to your fuchsia chair and your fuchsia desk and your fuchsia bed and your fuchsia carpet and your fuchsia paint, then you should probably get a fuchsia iMac. And that works for you. That's fine. The fuchsia iMac will work good for you. Everyone knows in life that you have to pay for the premium. And the premium here is someone painted your computer fuchsia color. There are many PCs who blow the doors off of a Mac as far as look is concerned. If you're a straight man. Now, if you're a gay man, you might prefer fuchsia Macintoshes. Now, let's be fair. Everyone has their thing. So, the Demon, what do you think about it, the appearance of a computer?
I personally, if I see a computer that I think is kind of beautiful, it would be like a black tower with red liquid cooling, and it'd be a PC. Like quad SLI video cards, that's a computer that looks good to me.
All right, how about Buddy Lee?
To each his own. Mac has some slick-looking stuff. I think the Mac Pros look awesome. They're large, they're metal.
Are they
they're heavy.
fuchsia?
No, they're not fuchsia. But when it comes down to it, they all look the same. If you're a Mac user, you're a conformist. Everybody's PC looks a little bit different, whether it's a different monitor, whether they've made their own different colors of lighting. With a Mac, it's all white or silver.
So, as far as appearance is concerned, we all have to agree it's kind of like art. Everyone has their own thing. Some people like how PCs look, like when the Demon says they're internally cooled and they've got steam coming out of them. There's blue-red lights flashing from the insides, and that's awesome. Some people like the clean fuchsia look, maybe with a dildo sticking out the side, and then
You're not doing well on ending on an unbiased note.
But in all seriousness, if that's the kind of thing that people like, then appearance could be important in the Mac realm, and appearance could be important in the PC realm. It's all about what you like.
It's a Mac Pro with a dildo coming out of it.
Okay. I feel I have to make an official statement for the UberTechs right now. We are not officially biased Mac versus PC. If anything, from what you've seen from all these points that we've brought up to you, is that Macs have their place, they have their people, and so do PCs. Alright everybody, thank you for visiting us here on UberTechs. Thank you to the Demon, my co-host. Thank you to Buddy Lee, our special guest, who is going to be back again, possibly as a co-host. And I'll see you next time.